Hey everyone! I'm gonna wait for people to pile in because you need to be here, as many of you as can be, in the middle of the day for vampires. I know I didn't give that much warning, but that's because whenever I give warning, it feels like something happens to keep us from being able to stream these things together. And I didn't want that. So, we're going to be playing Red Embrace, which is by the same company, Argent Games, who did Your Ride to Light, but this time it's vampires. And if you can hear the music, it's edgy. How is the music, by the way? It's very loud in my headphones, but that means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. Okay. So I hope you're ready to stumble through another adventure. Let's do it. I don't want to leave this soundtrack though. I'm into it. I'm way too into it. Teenage me is like celebrating. 9 Inch Nails all the way. Let's do it. Kind of low. Whoa. Okay, you want more edge? Hold on. Pull it up a bit. You'll let me know. I'll never recover from that one Crossroads stream. I'm so afraid. Another regular late night in San Francisco. Except for all the vampires. There usually aren't many customers around this time. Just the occasional junkie or drunk guy getting a burger to try and sober up. And here I am, staring at the whirring milkshake blender, bored out of my mind. Until vampires. Can't be bored then. Also, I'm sitting on pillows today. I'm comfortable and I'm not used to that. It's weird. The normal routine. I glance up when the doors to the kitchen behind me suddenly swing open. Is that me? The gorgeous jacket that I now need in my actual life? It's Troy, It's Troy, my boss. He gives me a happy wave and grins, and I can tell he's gonna call out my name in his usual friendly voice. What's my name? Ooh, what is my name? Do we want to leave him being called Ash, or he can be whoever we want? Oh. I feel like if I leave him being called Ash, I'm gonna be working on some bizarre Pokemon Vampire AU the entire time. Ethan, no. Return of Ethan. Okay, we need to name him. All right. Who are you? Why do I want to call him Terrence? Jack? Oh my gosh. No, you're right. He has to be Jack. He has to be Jack. Jack. Hey, Jack. Glad you decided to come in early. Yeah, boss. No problem. I probably shouldn't tell him I just need the extra money. No, tell him that. Tell him you need all the money. It might give you more shifts. What does he think? I come here for fun? Like me? I'm here for fun. Kinda slow right now, huh? Well, just keep the place cleaned up until someone comes in. We're masters of cleaning. You don't know how much we've cleaned. So much. I'll be in the back if you need me. Got it. With that, Troy disappears back to the kitchen, leaving me all alone again. Running the entire front? Awful. Man, I really get why they call it the graveyard shift. It feels like I'm watching over a cemetery sometimes. One that smells like greasy burgers. Ellipses. Oh, look at the sadness. That's late diner sadness. With a sigh, I reach for a rag and start to rub down the counter. I hope it was clean. Just saying. I hope the rag was clean. Gonna be a long night. Question mark? At that moment, I realize there's a customer in one of the booths. When did he get here? I definitely didn't see him walk in because he has no reflection. Run! It's a guy in a dark hoodie with a slightly hunched posture, probably around my age, maybe a year or two older. Even though he's sitting down, I can tell he's pretty tall, and he looks intimidatingly muscular despite the baggy jacket. I check him out thoroughly. Well, shady or not, a customer is a customer. Yeah, because all muscular people are shady. What are you saying, Jack? I tuck a menu under my arm and stroll out from behind the counter, headed towards him. Whoa, hello. He glances up when I get close, gazing at me sharply with two bright blue eyes. But he doesn't say anything. He just stares. What the hell? Is he coming off a bad trip or something? Or is he just another rude college kid? Yeah, those rude college kids. Alright, we got choices. Oh, in this game, our personality will kind of determine how we go. So we will have a personality, and there are 4 good endings and 4 bad endings. So you know, with my track record, I'll probably just die 4 times. Greet him politely. Hi, I'm Jack. Personality tutorial. In Red Embrace, most choices will impact MC's personality. The text in the top right will show how your personality has changed. Dialogue and choices unlock based on your personality. Play routes multiple times to see different reactions from the love interests. Ooh, charming. That's right. Jack's charming. Cool. Plus charming. Putting on my most welcoming smile, I slide the menu onto the table. Ooh, so that might determine. Maybe someone likes edge, and if we're too charming, we can't. But, you know, we want all the charming vampires. Let's be charming. Hello, sir. Wow, that's no. That was more charming than I wanted. Hello, sir. Can I get you anything tonight? A Coke, burger, milkshake? The man blinks at me, looking taken aback by my words. Excuse me, I'm a vampire. How dare you? Did I say something strange? I didn't think I was being too friendly, but maybe I should have acted more casually. Just coffee. Murmuring a response under his breath, he finally averts his gaze from my face. His voice is low and husky. Not unpleasant, but it makes him sound a bit older than he looks. Why does he seem so tense? Lucy? I wonder if there's a reason why he's acting all gloomy, or if this is just his normal self. Also, now that you've said that, Lucy, that's gonna be in my head for the rest of the stream. Coffee it is then. I'll be right back. Oh, he even looks more eager. Look at his face. I turn to head back towards the kitchen, wondering if this guy will even leave a tip. But before I can so much as take a step, a hand grabs my shirt, tugging me back. Flustered, I quickly glance over my shoulder at the strange man who narrows his eyes at me. Has anyone else come in here tonight? A man in a leather jacket with a tattoo on his cheek. He murmurs under his breath, staring at me so intensely that I swallow a nervous lump in my throat. Troy, this would be a great time for you to walk out of the kitchen. No one like that's come in here tonight. Why? He sinks back against the seat cushions at my reply, tightly balling one hand into a fist. After a moment, he pulls a cigarette from his pocket and clenches it between his teeth, but doesn't smoke it like some kind of Western hero. The flame from his— oh, he does light it. Oh, he's hardcore. The flame from his lighter briefly flickers in his bright blue eyes, a guilty look flashing over his face. Sorry. I'll get out of here. What is that accent? Oh my god. And I'm committed now. I'm coming too deep. Muttering quietly, he starts to push himself out of the booth. But I shove my arm out to stop him. At least wait until you finish your coffee and give me a tip, please. It's pretty rude to come into a diner and leave without ordering anything, after all. That wasn't very charming, Jack. He's a weird customer, but I'm kind of curious about why he's so uneasy. And this is the most interesting thing that's happened on any of my shifts, too. That is the saddest thing I've ever heard. The man hesitates, studying me with a suspicious look. Maybe he thinks I'm teamed up with this leather jacket guy he's all worked up about. They must really have a history. Don't say that to a shipper. Don't say that to me. Offer a casual shrug or calm him down. Save. Oh, I have to be sparing. That's not a lot of slots. I don't like having to live with my choices like that. Offer a casual shrug or calm him down. We're charming. I shake my head a little, letting out a patient plus charming. That's right. All the charm. All the charm for Jack. Don't worry. I have no clue who Mr. Tattoo Face is. But my boss would get mad at me if I didn't ask a customer to stay, so why don't you stick around? He pauses for a moment longer, and his blue eyes burn into me searchingly, as if he's trying to read my true intentions, which is 100% getting an awesome tip. But finally, he lowers himself back into the booth, giving a reluctant nod. I'll get that coffee then. Don't run away while I'm gone. Right. With that, I hurry towards the kitchen, setting up a pot of fresh coffee to brew. He's getting fresh coffee. This is the customer service for mysterious men. Troy's on his phone, chatting away with his new girlfriend. Being a terrible boss. So I can't ask him if he knows the guy in the booth. He's a strange customer, even for this hour, but he doesn't seem like a bad person. Let's see how good a judge of character Jack is. Let's see. I don't want to play therapist or anything, but part of me wants to ask what he's brooding about. Would he tell a stranger, though? We've located the brooding vampire. Brooding vampire located. When the coffee's done, I grab the cup and head back to the booth, cream and sugar tucked under my free arm. To my surprise, the man is still there. He was staring off into space before, but when I get close, his head jerks toward me. Thanks. He mumbles awkwardly, pulling a cigarette from his lips and snuffing it out in the ashtray. No problem. I set the coffee along with the cream and sugar down in front of him. But he just sort of blankly stares at the table as if he's not sure what to do. Do you want me to mix it in for you? The cream and the sugar, that is. My offer makes his eyes widen, but after a brief pause, he stiffly nods. This is more service than I've ever received anywhere in my life. Has this guy never had coffee before? How old is he? We need to know. Huh. Well, I don't really mind, even though it's been a long time since a customer asked me to do this. He didn't. You offered. Don't twist it. Don't rewrite history. I grab the cream and pour some into the cup, stirring until the dark liquid turns into a pretty caramel shade. After mixing in a couple of spoons of sugar, I push the coffee towards him expectantly. It's not French press, but it's not poison either. Go on. Oh, He takes the cup and lifts it to his lips, looking unsure of himself. After a long sip, he blinks, and a surprised light washes over his face. It's sweet. Oh, did I put too much sugar in? I can get you another cup if you'd... No, it's fine. I like it. To my shock, the man's lips actually curl in a small smile. It makes him seem a lot less intimidating, and the look in his clear blue eyes softens a little. He's seriously an oddball. Odd but kind of charming in his own weird way, and I too am charming. Let our charms unite. A guy this size who doesn't even know how to drink coffee. What does that mean, Jack? What are you saying? Somebody else. Just then the diner's door suddenly swings open. A blonde girl strides up to the counter, plopping down on one of the bar stools with a loud sigh. Business is booming as usual. I've got to go see what he wants, but... If you need any more coffee or just someone to spill your worries to, let me know, alright? It gets pretty lonely in here sometimes. All the time. Save me. Give me the dark gift. Yeah. He lowers his eyes to stare at the depths of his coffee cup, not offering another word. Brooding. I almost feel bad for leaving him, but I can't exactly ignore a customer. Troy would yell at me until he went hoarse. Would he? Troy's in the back talking to his girlfriend. I think you can do what you want. It's safe. Hurrying around the counter, I approach the new customer curiously. When I look closer, I realize it's actually a blonde guy, not a girl at all. He's so slender and short that he really looks like a girl from behind, but his face is a little too sharp to be a woman's. So, do you usually stare like that at everyone who comes in here? I thought waiters were supposed to be welcoming, not creepy. The first words that come out of his mouth are pretty coarse, even though he's got a high sing-song voice. Yes, called it! The voice accurate. No, sorry. Just a little tired, that's all. What can I get you? Coffee? He purses his lips together scornfully, letting out an annoyed huff. But rather than responding to my question, he turns his head to scan the diner. And his gaze falls on the hoodie-wearing guy in the booth. The blonde stares intently at the other man, who doesn't seem to notice the scrutiny he's getting. Except he does, because he's a vampire. That's not true, Sarah. To Trust an Incubus had a girl, Chiyoko, and she was the only competent person there. What the hell? Is he really just gonna sit here and ignore me? You have a problem with him, or ask if he'd like to order something? What kind of Jack are we? Jack the Jack the Jack Jack? Am I nosy Jack or subservient Jack? You got a problem with him? My vampire is gonna take me to the other realm? Aggressive? Yeah, let's get some aggressive stats. We can't have no aggressiveness. This brat's kind of getting on my nerves. First he makes a jab at me for staring, then he goes and gops at another guy. The man in the hoodie's my customer too, and he looks like he's already had a tough night without being glowered at by some kid. Hey, do you have a problem with that guy? If not, could you quit scowling at other customers? You'll scare them off. I need tips. My irritated words make him blink in surprise, but his sulky expression returns half a second later. He scratches his cheek with one hand, pausing doubtfully, then lets out a loud sigh. I just want a soda, any kind. I need to get a bad taste out of my mouth. What, from trying to smoke pot with your friends? I want to dryly ask, but I should probably have a little self-restraint. I grab a nearby cup and head over to the soda fountain, filling it with some sugary yellowish-green drink that probably suits the tastes of a kid like him. Not even gonna give him the option of what soda he wants. He's getting Mountain Dew and he's gonna like it. It's too bad he doesn't have a nicer personality to match his cute face. Wow, Jack, you're thirsty. It's been really lonely on these night shifts, hasn't it? I bet he never wears anything other than that annoying pout. After I slide the cup and the straw in front of the blonde, he tosses a couple dollar bills on the counter. Hey, is it always so dead in here? I don't usually come to places like this, but how do you stay open if there's no business? Shouldn't you be bankrupt? Resisting the urge to throw the soda in his face, I let out a strange chuckle instead. We're open during the day too. Most people tend to come here when it's not, 2 a.m. Oh yeah, I guess that makes sense. Isn't it boring when nobody comes in though? He sounds so innocent and curious that my irritation melts away a little bit. It's pretty damn boring. Most of our clientele at this hour are just a few folks who are high, drunk, or both. They don't make for great conversation partners, let me tell you. Unlike tonight, night of great conversations and stirring people's coffee for them. Ha! The blonde snickers, pulling his straw out of its wrapper and shoving it into his glass. He sips a bit of the soda, then idly swirls the straw around with one finger, propping his chin up on his hand. His eyes are a lively, sparkling green, and they watch me with interest. How about any weird types? Weird types? You'll have to be more specific than that. Rolling his eyes, he pauses for a moment as if he's thinking over his words more carefully. Like people who don't really fit in. Like you. Don't order food or anything like that. Just kind of lurk around, act shady. That type. You mean vampires? There are vampires everywhere in this town. At the blonde's description, I find my gaze shifting towards the hoodie-wearing man in the corner. He's looking my way too, and our eyes suddenly meet across a not crowded room at all. Well, he definitely matches the type this kid is talking about, but he ordered a coffee, so it can't be. But there's no reason for me to say that. Besides, it's not as if we usually get customers like him. In fact, it's the first time I've ever seen someone who didn't know how to drink coffee. No, I can't say I've seen anyone like that come in here. Maybe they hang out in the seedier parts of town, if you can get seedier than this area, that is. We scored some points. It might be my imagination, but at my response, I feel like the man in the booth just relaxed a tiny bit. Really? I guess so. The blonde looks a little displeased, and he chews on the tip of his straw absent-mindedly. Why do you ask? Are you looking for members of a gang or something? Are you undercover? You could say that. He hesitates before replying, shifting in his seat. Don't tell me you're trying to join up with a band of thugs. Kids like you shouldn't fall in with the wrong crowd. How dare you? I'm 35. My playful remark makes the blonde abruptly straighten his posture, his face screwing up like an angry chipmunk. Who are you calling kid? I'm 22. Do I have to show you my ID or something? Whoa, I must have really hit a nerve. In my defense, he definitely doesn't look 22. I would have guessed 17 or 18, especially considering the way he acts. Sorry, it's just because you're so full of energy, that's all. Unlike all those lethargic 22-year-olds slumped over, can't move. We all know that 20 is the beginning of the downhill spiral. What are you saying, Jack? I get mistaken for a high schooler sometimes, so I feel you're paid. Like a porcupine retracting its quills, the blonde stops bristling, although he still wrinkles his nose at me. Close call. Anyway, I'm not trying to join a gang. I'm just looking for some certain people, that's all. I figured they might hang out around a place like this, since it's pretty seedy looking. No offense. He smirks at me, tapping a fingernail against the side of his glass. It's kind of hard to argue with that, sadly. This isn't the worst part of town, but it's definitely not the best, and the diner could really use some repainting. Hey, why don't you do me a favor? Keep an eye out for anyone like what I described, and if you find someone, give me a call. Pulling a pen out of his pocket, he grabs a nearby napkin and scribbles something down on it. When he shoves it over towards me, I recognize the writing as a name and a phone number. Luca, huh? You really want me to call you if I see any random shady customers? Because I'm not doing that. I'm calling the police. You got it. It doesn't seem like you have anything better to do with your time, so why don't you help me out? I don't know you. Luca, who are you? I'm gonna waste one of my save slots. One of my precious, beautiful save slots. And what are you offering? I already have a thing going on with Mr. Guy in the booth. Ooh, I got charmed though. I raise one eyebrow at Luca, who watches me smugly. You're gonna offer something to sweeten the deal, right? There's no reason for me to bother helping you otherwise. Offer something? Like what? Money? He purses his lips together doubtfully, but I shake my head, unable to contain a smirk. I don't know. What are you asking for, Jack? What do you want? Maybe you could let me stare at you for a while without getting mad. How's that sound? What? I'm scared now. Run, Luca, run. Luca's cheeks turn a bright pink, letting me know my teasing was successful. What kind of creepy thing are you trying to... You know what? I'm taking back my number. He tries to snatch the napkin away from me, but I hold it out of his reach, snickering to myself. It's actually pretty fun seeing him get all flustered, especially after he tries to act so confident and cool. Listen, I'll help you out, alright? Lighten up a bit. If you don't want to, just say so. No need to be such a jerk about it. He mumbles under his breath sourly, crumpling the wrapper of his straw in one hand. Really, I don't mind. You were the one who said I didn't have anything better to do with my time, remember? When I give Luca a reassuring wink, he flicks his eyes away and scowls, obviously embarrassed. Then he takes the last sip of his drink before hopping off the bar stool. That's right, Sarah. His last name is Verse. Oh, first name Jack, last name Verse. I'd better not get any weird calls from you. Well, you can't control that. It's coming. Weird calls all the time. I'll block you the second you start saying gross crap to me. I don't know what's happening with my voices, but I'm committed and I love it. Lucas shouts over his shoulder on his way to the door. I like to try and make them have slightly different voices as good as I can across the games, you know? I try. It's a one-woman show. Chuckling, I wave a dish towel at him casually, watching him disappear into the thick of the night. Silly kid. Who knows what kind of trouble he's trying to work his way into, and I'm helping him. Enabling. I hope he gets home safely, though. He really looks like a perfect target for muggers or some of the more unsavory types who hang around these parts. Maybe I should have offered to get him a taxi. Oh well. When I'm left alone with my thoughts, I suddenly remember the man in the hoodie. But when I glance over to where he was sitting at the booth, no one's there. He was never there. He was a ghost. He must have snuck out when I was talking to Luca. Damn, I could have gotten his number too. A little disappointed, I returned to his booth to take his coffee cup, but I noticed something lying on the table. A $10 bill and a bunch of change, just for a cup of coffee? That's pretty generous, and now I feel terrible for doubting if he was gonna tip or not. It looks like he just dumped everything in his wallet onto the table. He drank every last drop of the coffee, though. I'm not sure why, but knowing that he liked it so much makes me kind of happy. What a weird night. Libby, I can see that. It is a little true-bloodish. Shaking my head, I pocket the tip and head back to the kitchen with a puzzled smile. The rest of my shift passes uneventfully. People trickle in and out for a couple more hours, but no one else unusual shows up. Finally, I wave goodbye to Troy and step outside, letting out a long yawn. That is ominous outside music. I don't know if y'all can hear it, but I'm not feeling good about walking home. Time to walk home. I knew it. Of course we're walking. Man, I'm tired. Same spot tomorrow. I don't know what voice this is. I might change it. Who's talking? Of course. Don't you trust me? Bits and pieces of conversation float from a nearby alleyway. I should just keep walking. It is late and unsafe. Yeah, make sure you bring all the stuff. My curiosity immediately spikes. Are they talking about a drug deal or something? Next to my diner? How dare they? I press myself against the wall, straining to hear more of the conversation. I'm telling you guys, in all these games, eavesdropping is the answer to everything. All of life's problems are solved by eavesdropping. Maybe I can catch one of these guys and teach them a lesson or two. I won't have some dopeheads putting Troy or the customers in danger. I don't think Jack looks like he can teach many people lessons. I don't know, maybe he's taken all kinds of secret karate classes, maybe he knows kung fu. Or if I listen in, I can call the police at just the right time. Are those footsteps? I didn't think it through. They must be headed this way. Naturally, payment up front, though. You wouldn't want your number one supplier to switch sides, would you? Ha! As one of the two men talking lets out a scornful laugh, the footsteps grow louder, closer. I step back into the shadows, crouching down just out of sight, but it doesn't matter if they're vampires. Oh. A moment later, a couple of tall figures emerge from the alley. One of them stands in the shadows, and I can't get a good look at his face, but something about him creeps me out. The other one with the fancy suit and slick hair, he must be a businessman, for no one else slicks back their hair or wears suits. He's definitely not a gangster. You better keep your end of the deal, Isaac. You turn your back on the Helgen and you'll be real sorry. Spitting out those words mistrustfully, the shadowy figure stalks off down the street. I'll be sorry, huh? The one left standing behind, Isaac, mutters those words under his breath with a dark smile. Even though he looks like a man at home in an office more than an alleyway, he doesn't seem one bit afraid. I reflexively hold my breath, watching his elegant form loom on the sidewalk, wondering what he'll do next, even though I'm in danger, still being thirsty. You can come out now. I don't bite, unless you'd like me to, of course. The shock and horror. Isaac turns to look directly at me, as if he can see right through the darkness to where I'm hiding. However, the beckoning gesture he makes doesn't seem threatening, so I reluctantly rise to my feet. All beckoning, in my opinion, is threatening. I don't think you can, not creepily beckon, but... How did he see me? It's nearly pitch black in this spot. There's a good boy. Is there a reason you were cowering in the corner? You weren't trying to eavesdrop, I hope. His eyes, which look like molten gold-colored contacts, I'm sure, study me questioningly. You're making a deal next to my diner, or I like to know what happens around here. This is my diner. This is my street. You stepped on the wrong street, cuz. I mean, what? Oh. I don't know. I don't have enough options. Decisions. Wow, why is this such a hard decision for me? You're making a deal next to my diner? Fine. This guy's no thug. He's just some suit trying to act intimidating. There's no reason to be afraid of him, so I might as well just tell the truth. You see this place here? It's where I work. If some kind of shady deal is going on nearby, of course I'm going to want to hear about it. In response to my confrontational tone, Isaac raises one eyebrow. Oh, so you're just looking out for number one. Cute. I would too, if I were you. The hint of slyness that creeps into his tone sounds almost like... No, I'm definitely misreading him. Why would a fancy businessman flirt with someone like me? I love how everybody in these games just has zero self-esteem. They're like, no one would flirt with me ever. Pfft. That's not like I'm gorgeous. I've got customers my boss to worry about too. That's why I have to keep an eye on shady types around the diner. I'm sure. With an unconvinced chuckle, Isaac saunters towards me, stopping only when he enters too close territory. Well, if he's trying to make me back down, too bad. No way. I'll cower away from some fancy guy like him, even if he is taller than me. I have at least a little pride left. Oh no, oh, look, his glasses. They've gone anime villain shit. Oh. Isaac bends down to peer into my face, close enough for me to see every detail of my reflection in his glasses. There's a sweet smell around him, some kind of cologne or shampoo, and it blocks out the stench from the dumpster nearby. Tell me, what's your name? I'm Isaac, as you probably heard from the scary skinhead back there. He drops his voice to a whisper, and his gaze sparkles at me expectantly. I'm Jack. I don't talk to many guys in suits, so sorry in advance if I trip over my tongue. Because all people in suits are better than you. Remember it. Life lessons from Jack. No need to worry. I'm used to making people starstruck during first meetings. But listen, Jack, if you'd like a little piece of advice, you should stay away from this place tomorrow night. I'm not saying you'll get hurt, but there might be some friendly conflicts going on. He seems oddly thrilled by the prospect of conflicts, and a gleeful light shines in his eyes. Of course, if you're looking for excitement, then I won't stop you from coming by. Who knows? Isaac pauses, his lips curling into a smirk. You might even see a friend of yours there, or maybe customer is a better word. A shiver courses down my spine at his teasing murmur. He's talking as if he knows something about me, but I've never seen his face before in my life. What are you trying to say? Someone I know is going to be part of this friendly conflict? Maybe. You can't say for sure unless you show up. Am I right? Assuming your self-preservation instincts aren't too strong, that is. I know he's trying to provoke me, but that doesn't stop anger from rising up in my chest, even though I try my hardest to stay calm. He probably thinks his money makes him some kind of king. What a class act. I'll come if they're using you as target practice, or I'll come if it's safe. I don't know. These are subtle. I don't know who I'm trying to go for. Also, Isaac has the exact same eyebrow scar that I do, so I feel a profound bond here. So we started off aggressive, so you know what? Let's stay aggressive. I'll stop by if there's a chance you'll get hit in the crossfire. That fancy suit isn't bulletproof, is it? Wow, I caught a feisty one. He lets out a low wolf whistle, eyes going wide in mock surprise. I'm flattered that you're so worried about me, though. I'd be more concerned for yourself. Someone with a pretty face like the one you have can catch the attention of some bad types. Bad types? Like who? My pulse starts to race faster as I question Isaac, who only throws me an evasive shrug. Some people who walk the streets this time of night aren't always friendly, Jack. His eyes flick away from me for a moment, and a sudden cold, dangerous edge enters his voice. You mean it wasn't there before? This whole exchange has been sketch. There are lots of predators out there, stalkers, who just love to have a taste of someone like you. When his gaze returns to mine, a chill runs through my whole body. Isaac reaches out towards my face, tracing the back of his hand lightly along my cheek, all while a cruel smile crawls over his lips. And if you're not careful, you might end up with a bite taken out of you, caught in the jaws of a hungry wolf. His whisper drops so low that his words are barely audible, and I have to lean in a little to catch them. You'd be safer if you struck with me, your valiant Van Helsing, although my prices aren't cheap. Isaac's fingers trace along my neck, all the way to my lips, where he teases one digit around the corner of my mouth. This is some bold stuff. This is getting bold. Stranger danger indeed. Don't just stand there, Jack. Where was all this? I can take him. No, come on, Jack. It's time to go back to the diner or do something. Mesmerized by vampire eyes or vampire hunter eyes. Either or. I can't look away from his hypnotic golden eyes, which swirl in a way that makes my mind feel like it's melting. My body refuses to move. Even as Isaac presses closer, I can't do anything but hold my breath, staring up into that beautiful gaze. Isaac! Isaac, what are you doing? Dean, what do you think you are doing? When a cry rings through the air, Isaac abruptly pulls away from me, throwing a glance over his shoulder. Hurry up, we need to get going. The voice calls out again, sounding oddly familiar, but it's too dark to see who it belongs to. What the hell happened a second ago? I can barely remember what Isaac was just saying. Always with the bad timing. Oh well. Exhaling a reluctant sigh, Isaac turns away. But he pauses to give me a parting Cheshire Cat grin. Make sure you show up tomorrow. I'll make it worth your while. Don't worry. Immortality. Huh? Wait. By the time I recover my senses, Isaac's already striding off towards the figure in the distance. The two of them disappear around a corner, before long, swallowed up by the darkness. Ugh, my head hurts like hell. I don't know what Isaac did, but I've got some kind of awful migraine now. Maybe it's from his cologne. Why do I keep meeting all these weirdos? This is too much crap for one night. Maybe Troy slipped some kind of acid into my burger earlier. Yeah, that sounds legit. Yeah, that's gotta be the only explanation here. Shaking my head, I shiver and start hurrying home, keeping an eye out for any of the bad types Isaac mentioned. Luckily, I don't see anyone else on my way back, except for the occasional stray cat or homeless guy on a bench, but if it's a black cat, you better run. I don't think I've ever been so relieved to step into my cold apartment, which feels like some kind of holy sanctuary right now. No creeps or huffy brats, just the comfort of my creaky bed and the flickering light from my old TV. Everything will be back to normal tomorrow. Yeah, today was just a fluke. I try to comfort myself with those words as I throw off everything except my briefs, then flop onto the bedsheets with an exhausted groan. Normally I wouldn't complain about running into a bunch of good-looking guys, but there was something off about all of them. Every single one. I can't put my finger on it, but I have a bad feeling in the pit of my stomach. Like I accidentally peered into some kind of world I wasn't supposed to see. Some kind of world of infinite thirst. Black cats are beautiful. I had a black cat years ago, but I still have that moment. You know, you hear the stories when they cross my path. I still have a moment, even though it's completely irrational. But I'm just like, ugh. It's just like when I see a ladder and I have to walk under it. And I'm like, I know this is silly, but I'm walking around this ladder. Well, it doesn't matter. Tomorrow will be the same old, same old. I hope. Oh, we got an intro, everybody. Intro. We have an intro. I'll turn it up for you. Get hype, everybody. We're gonna make good choices in theory. We're probably not. You know me. We're probably gonna make terrible choices. Make mistakes. Get messy. The sun. So you're safe now. Sun. Back off. I bury my face against my pillow to hide from the sunlight. It must already be afternoon. Stupid graveyard shift makes it so hard to catch a decent amount of rest, unless you sleep underground or somewhere away from a window, like a coffin. Maybe I should invest in a coffin. I'm sure some people in this game will be happy to help you. More style points than the sleeping mask, that's for sure. Groaning, I eventually force myself out of bed and stumble over to the kitchen to put on some coffee. Work doesn't start for a while yet, so I can do a little freelancing today. I'm only working at the diner to save up some money on the side anyway. My real passion is... Ooh, we can choose a passion. We can choose a passion. What does Jack care about? What does Jack love? Let's see. Writing, music, or art. I mean, they're all art, aren't they? But he's an author. He's gonna write about his wonderful experiences in this diner. Writing fanfics, Joey. I've always wanted to become a famous author, but right now all I can do is churn out ebooks to try and build up my name. He's getting there, no shame there. Occasionally I'll get a paid gig too, like a commissioned short story. Although mostly it's just porn. And there's no shame in that either. Respect the hustle. Let me tell you, people pay a lot for their weird erotica. It's true. There's a lot of freelance in that area. But one day, I'll make it big as a writer. Even if it's as a famous porn writer, it still counts. Anyway, I have some time to spare, so I plop down my office chair with a coffee mug in hand. But the moment I stare at my computer screen, I suddenly remember what happened last night. Back on that dark street. You might even see a friend of yours there. Or maybe a customer is a better word. Isaac was acting like he knew something about me. Or something I know, even though that should be impossible. There was something unnerving about what he said afterwards, but I can't really remember his words. It's all fuzzy. I'm starting to think that it's not some random drug deal going down tonight. A smart man would keep his distance, but if I don't figure out what Isaac meant, it's gonna drive me crazy. That sleazeball in the suit is up to something, that's for sure. I put my head down on my desk and rub my eyes with one hand. I guess there's no helping it, huh? I'll have to see for myself what'll happen tonight. Distracted by my own thoughts, I spend the rest of the time until my shift half-heartedly working on a new project. The freelance hustle is real. After what feels like forever, it finally gets dark, and I head out to start my shift. Cheshire! Artemis, can we hire him? But during my walk, I can't help feeling a lot more nervous than normal. Gaxi, I hope he writes Simbrock erotica. Troy left this morning for a business trip, so I'm the only one who's working tonight. The only one? No, hire somebody else. And if anything happens, I'll have to deal with it entirely on my own. Great. Hey, we got extras. We got extras. Extras in the house. It is illegal, Betty. You can't, except at cons. There are certain exceptions made for sales made at cons, and it depends what country you're in. It's really stuff you gotta look up depending on where you are. The diner seems unusually quiet, even for the night shift. There are more people here than last night, Jack. Only a couple of people end up stumbling in over the course of a few hours, and midnight ticks over into the early morning. I grow more and more tense until finally I can't take it anymore. Time to close up early. Sorry, Troy. Grabbing my keys, I flick off all the lights and leave the diner, locking it up behind me. Then I make my way to the nearby alley where Isaac came from last night. Why? Stick to the main road. But it's empty. And gorgeous, also. No gangsters. No men in suits. Just a deserted hangout for rats and abandoned garbage cans. A Gaxi? Oh, so he's just writing 50 Shades of Grey at that point? Or The Mortal Instruments? Or also the Wallbanger series. That one was also based off of Twilight fanfiction, for those who don't know. Maybe I missed the meeting, although I should have heard gunfire if there was any. I guess they might not be here yet, but I really don't want to wait around this creepy place for very long, especially not alone. I should probably just head home. That's the sensible thing to do. Yeah. After a few more seconds of deliberation, I turn back towards the alleyway entrance. I'm not sure why I feel so Gotcha. Who's got me? Who grabbed me? Out of nowhere, someone grabs my shoulders. A second later, my back slams against the wall and a pair of strong arms pin me in place. Hey. He's just gonna be Robert. I'm out of voices at this point. You're not one of those dumb Sarai guys. You're a human. Two wide, puzzled eyes scan over my face like I'm some kind of mutant. A human? Of course I'm human. What else could I be? I don't understand. Vampires. I break off halfway through my sentence, staring at my attacker, noting his really obvious fangs and super cool haircut. This red-haired guy has a tattoo on his face and is wearing a distinctive leather jacket. It's not that distinctive, but okay. Could he be the person that man from last night was talking about? I need to move. These pillows for comfort are not comfortable. Ugh. There. The discomfort to which I've grown accustomed. Whoa, why are you getting all mad, man? You're just not the guy I was looking for. He flashes me a wide, taunting grin. My eyes are drawn to the shape of his canines, which look just like an animal's. Long, sharp, and bone white. Luna, I know, right? You know, you smell pretty nice. Kind of special, actually. Real sweet. He leans in a bit, leering at me with those sharp fangs. Jack's got such Bella syndrome, just everybody wants him. They have to be some kind of body mod. Right? I'm pretty hungry, too. Haven't eaten all night, and you're looking so much better every second. If I don't do something, this creep will really take a bite out of me. Try to push him off or reason with him. Use all of our charm that we've amassed, or be aggressive. Let's try some reasoning. Let's alternate. Please don't do this. Hey, wait, hold on. Gentle. I didn't know gentle was a choice. If you're hungry, I can make you something. My diner's right around the wow, Jack. Jack? You're making me regret my choices. No, I don't want you to make me anything. After the redhead cuts me off, a greedy look flickers in his eyes. Nah, I want you. With a deep growl, he licks his lips, pressing his face closer and closer to my neck. I shut my eyes tightly, holding my breath. Pushing is still an option, Jack. This is it. This is how I die. I'm gonna get torn apart by some psycho in an alleyway. His ragged breathing grows steadily louder, and I can feel each exhale brushing against my throat. Until... Ellipses. All of a sudden, the pressure pinning me against the wall vanishes. When I open my eyes, I realize the man's no longer there. No, he's still here, but now... You! With a loud grunt, a familiar man in a dark jacket swings his fist toward my attacker. Dominic! I knew you were out here. The redhead lets out a gleeful laugh as he dodges the punch, moving at an incredible speed. A second later, he aims a lightning-fast blow of his own towards the other man, Dominic. With an unchanging expression, Dominic smoothly sidesteps. The next moment, his hand shoots out to swipe at his opponent's face. Grr. I hear the sound of something sharp cutting flesh. And a moment later, blood starts to drip from the redhead's cheek. Ha 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 ha. Only the most maniacal of laughter. Dom, you're really mad. Wow. Rather than counterattacking, the tattooed man pauses, wiping off the blood on his sleeve. But before my very eyes, the claw-like gashes on his skin start to repair themselves. Until they disappear completely, leaving him uninjured. Am I going crazy? There's no way any human could do something like that. No, this has to be a bad dream. Just a bad dream. Don't tell me you're worked up because of this guy. Seriously, you want to drain him that bad? Enough. Don't bring him into this. Dominic's eyes narrow into slits as he stares at the man in the leather jacket who's laughing as if he just heard the best joke on earth. Wow. In that case, I'm gonna get my hands on him first. Because I want to see you get way madder, Dom. Rather abruptly, the tattooed man's face freezes and his grin fades into a frigid, bloodthirsty expression. I want to see you suffer. Until you stop thinking of us as a joke. Whoa, I knew they had history. They said there was history. Just like that, he charges Dominic again, recklessly swinging frantic punches. This time, though, he seems to be moving even faster than before, and his strikes are full of rage. The assault is so powerful that Dominic retreats a little, losing a few feet of ground to the other man who's clearly fueled by fury and jealousy and hurt feelings. They dodge and swipe at each other so quickly that my eyes can hardly follow their movements. Their speed is completely inhuman, and the more I watch them, the more my blood runs cold. Is it possible that they're really not human? When my mind flashes back to the redhead's sharp fangs, my stomach tightens and a shiver racks my body. Come on, Dom. I'm not gonna let you run away this time. From our love. With a menacing howl, the tattooed man leaps up, pushing himself off the wall to launch forward towards Dominic. When he doesn't manage to dodge in time, their bodies collide and they tumble to the ground. At this rate, one of them's gonna end up torn open. If I try to do something, they might turn on me, but can I really just stand here? No, we can't. We have to do something. Take action. Watch the fight or try and stop them. Stop fighting over me. Yeah, let's be aggressive about this. Just completely contradictory. Jack likes to watch. Betty. Y'all want to watch it? Just watch them go at it? I feel like we should try and stop them. Okay, I'm gonna take one of my precious few save slots and try and stop them. I have to say something. How is that gentle? I feel like trying to stop a fight is pretty aggressive. Okay. Monster or not, I don't want to see someone get ripped apart in front of me. Dominic, stop. Just throw him off and run. Dominic seems to hear my words, but he keeps struggling with the violent redhead who's clawing at him with everything he's got. Jack's a voyeur. Biting my lip, I watch the two men tussle frantically, their grunts filling the air. I love that Jack's just a damsel. That was essentially what he just did. No, stop. Please don't. Whoa, what's going on here? What's all this then? Gentlemen, can you put things on hold for a moment? Is it Isaac? I'm just assuming. And at that instant, the fighting stops completely. Yup. A tall figure approaches us from the alley's entrance, his face flashing into view under the street lamp. Isaac. After frowning at Dominic and the tattooed man, Isaac turns towards me, his eyebrows shooting upwards. Oh, you came after all. Sorry you had to see these two at their worst, but I did promise Dom would be here, didn't I? Kinda, sorta. I mean, you promised a lot of things. So that's who Isaac was referring to. How the hell did he know that I had met Dominic? Wasn't that just a few hours before I saw Isaac? He never came to the diner either, so someone must have told him. Screw off, Isaac. You're not gonna stop me from tearing this shit out of Newton. Before the redhead can finish his sentence, Dominic suddenly throws him off with a grunt. He slams against the ground a few feet away, letting out a pained wheeze. Chuckling, Isaac pushes up his glasses, looking completely unfazed. Isaac definitely likes to watch. Relax, Rex. You need to learn when to hold back. You're going to embarrass even your Helgen brothers. As if Isaac just flipped a switch, the leather-jacketed man seems to lose all of his bloodlust. Instead, he groans and rolls his eyes, looking like a kid who just got his favorite toy taken away. Whatever, stupid old man. After Rex mutters a reply, the electric tension in the air around us gradually fades. It's replaced by an uncomfortable, awkward pause, and the four of us exchange glances for a few seconds. But after the adrenaline cloud in my brain finally dissolves, I take a deep breath and turn to Isaac. Sorry to ruin the moment, but some kind of explanation for all of this would be great. My voice, which cracks slightly with anxiety, breaks the long moment of silence. Dominic, Rex, and Isaac all stare at me, and now I understand how a rabbit must feel in a den of wolves. These guys, they're not normal. You know that, don't you, Isaac? Isaac's not normal either. Jack. When I pose my shaky question, Isaac throws a glance towards Dominic. For a split second, it looks like Dominic winces faintly, his eyes narrowing. But a cold, unreadable look soon washes over his features again. I see you in the chat. I see all of you. You're getting thirsty in here. Isaac finally speaks up, and I shift my gaze back over to him quickly. You see behind the spit-shine gloss of our beloved San Francisco is a much, much darker underbelly. One that people like you usually go their whole lives without glimpsing. He strains his tie with one hand, an impassive smile flickering on his face. But once you get a taste of that darkness, there's no going back. For instance, if a hypothetical cute little diner boy decided he wanted to go tell the police a funny story. A tall, scary man in a dark jacket would want to make sure he never says anything else again. At Isaac's casual threat, I glance back at Dominic in disbelief. His lips are pulled into a grimace as he meets my gaze, and I think I see a hint of guiltiness on his face. Does that mean he'd really kill me? Just to stop me from telling anyone about what I saw tonight? Just to stop me from unveiling the existence of vampires to the world? Of course, that's a hypothetical. Humans like us can work with our vampiric companions just fine, assuming no one gets loose lips. Humans like us, huh? There's something more going on here, Isaac. Wait, then you're not a vampire? My shocked question makes Isaac pause for a second. However, he quickly lets out a laugh and shakes his head, adjusting his tie with one hand. Not really, no. Not like Rex and Dominic here anyway. Not entirely either. I have questions. Don't lump me in with that jerk, Isaac. Rex loudly protests from where he leans against the wall, glaring at us. Of course, I'm so sorry. Now back to the subject at hand, Jack. I'm just so glad we called him Jack. I'm happy. Just as Isaac rolls his eyes and starts up again, a pair of light footsteps echo from down the alley. Several moments later, a short blonde rushes up beside Isaac, panting a little. Phew. Isaac, I'm sorry Halfway through his sentence, Luca breaks off sharply. He stares at me with saucer-like eyes, and I stare back in astonishment. Luca? Hang on a second. Were you the one who told Isaac that I met Dominic? You little tattletale. As bizarre as the whole situation is, the pieces are starting to fall into place. This little brat was trying to get me to tell him about shady types. In other words, find people who might be vampires for him. Luca's surprised, then flustered reaction confirms my suspicions, and he averts his gaze sheepishly. Yeah, so it was pretty clear you were trying to protect him. You stirred his coffee. Only people who want to protect each other do that. At that, Luca's eyes flick over towards Dominic, taking on a certain sharpness. He glances over at Rex with the same hateful look, too. Does Luca know both of them already? Everybody knows everybody. Jack's behind. Alright, let's not get too excited. Letting out a long sigh, Isaac pinches the bridge of his nose with his thumb and forefinger. It seems there's some miscommunication going on here. You see... I'll spill your skull open. Who is this now? During Isaac's second attempt to explain the situation to me, an entirely different noise splits through the air. Oh yeah, I'd like to see you try! The not-so-distant sound of a fight floods towards us from a neighboring alley. That alley is where the actual action is. He walked into the wrong alley. It's not just two voices either. Actually, it sounds like a lot more than that. Like a party of the worst, bloodiest kind. Ugh, this is getting to be downright comical. Of course, they'd decide to go at it tonight. Animals. Really. Despite the scornful nature of his words, Isaac seems to brighten up all of a sudden. Damn it! Why are the clans fighting now of all times? Is every vampire in San Francisco out here tonight? Lucas sounds irritated, even though Isaac is obviously pleased. Some kind of gang war must be going on. Tamara. It's never too early to be this thirsty. The second I open my mouth to ask a question, however, Isaac takes off running. Directly towards the source of the noise, because he's into it. Like, we already established that. Wait, Isaac, where are you? Lucas starts to jog after Isaac with an exasperated cry, glaring at the other man's back. Dominic. At the same time, Dominic turns to head in the opposite direction, apparently disinterested. His long strides take him towards the end of the alley quickly, making it clear that he doesn't want to stick around. Rex, however, makes a beeline straight for me. We just left him alone with Rex. Just you and me now, baby. Don't be shy. Oh boy. This night just went from bad to awful in the span of about 15 minutes. Or awesome, somebody has to turn you. Come on. Wow, would that be anybody else's thought if they ran into a gaggle of vampires? Would it just be like, okay, who wants? Or like, would you actually think about it? But if I want to figure out what the hell's going on with these guys, I'd better choose what to do right now. What do I want to know? Chase after Dominic, follow Luca, catch up with Isaac, or run away from Rex. I need about 108 save slots. If I made a game, it would just be like, why are there 200 save slots? Be like, okay, I can't commit. I want to follow Isaac. But Dominic. I'm torn. Dominic was the first. We stirred his coffee. Dominic saved us. Dominic saved us. Dominic saved us. Wow, that's my line. Like, yeah, even though this is a game, Dominic saved us. We can always play again. You know me. You know I will come back and explore other routes and explore Isaac. Dominic doesn't seem to be sticking around, and to be honest, I don't want to either. But he's already close around the corner, so I have to hurry if I want to catch him. Some other time, maybe. Bye-bye. Calling out nervously to the approaching Rex, I turn to dash after Dominic's disappearing figure. By the time I make it out of the alleyway, he's already headed down the sidewalk. I need to take a bite of this banana because I'm hungry, and bananas are quiet to chew, and that's why I'm eating it. Don't judge me. Streams can be long. So, consensus while I creepily chew this, banana. Who are you liking so far? I mean, I think I know, but enlighten me. I always enjoy a thirsty chat. I try and pick foods that aren't loud because it's too much. It's too much. Eating is important. And Mr. Shipper's not here to get me food. OT6. Oh, okay. Let's just pretend he's walking casually to catch up with him while I chew this banana. Okay. Let's do it. When I jog up to his side, Dominic casts me a curious, skeptical glance. Whew. Hey, Dominic, right? I'm Jack, in case you didn't hear my name earlier. I attempt to start a conversation as I walk beside him, but Dominic gives me no reply. Where are you heading off to? It was pretty obvious you didn't want to get involved back there. With his hands stuffed in his pockets, Dominic hesitates briefly. I'm going to have a smoke. His blunt reply catches me off guard. He sounds so completely apathetic, like he doesn't care one bit about the other vampires or Isaac and Luca. Alright, could I come with you then? I have a lot of questions about all this, and I trust you the most out of all the guys I've met so far. He turns to look at me, his eyes widening a little. I didn't say anything weird, did I? For whatever reason, he seems surprised. Finally, he just shrugs his broad shoulders and starts walking down the street again. If you don't like it, I'm not stopping it. I'm practicing with a bunch of different accents for another job I'm doing, and you know, it takes time to get accents correct and stuff, and I'm enjoying it, and this is the best way to practice, by talking out loud. So it's not changing. I'll choose to interpret that as sure, whatever, and not go away. Without any further attempts at conversation, I follow Dominic along a few different roads, heading towards an older part of the city. Around 15 minutes later, we come to an old warehouse, because of course we do, because where else would brooding vampires stay? He needs to stay in in the most vampiric place he can find. Its peeling paint and decaying exterior make it look like it's been abandoned for some time. Dominic ducks under a piece of rotting panel, disappearing into the dark interior, and I quickly head after him. Inside there are candles and a coffin and other like stereotypical vampire things. And then we stir its coffee. At last, after going down a few flights of stairs, we emerge into an open space that's dimly lit by fluorescent lights. The electricity's on. Wow, do people still use this place? Seems like it. Offering that insightful remark, Dominic leans back against the wall and slides down onto the floor. He pulls a pack of cigarettes and a lighter out of his pocket, flicking the latter until a tiny flame sparks up. Katisa, I know, this whole game, I'm just imagining the Nine Inch Nails, like the album from the 90s, oh my gosh. After lighting his smoke, he takes a long pull from it, then blows out a thin gray cloud.
Are you going to sit down? Dominic raises an eyebrow at me, jerking his chin towards the floor. Don't mind if I do. I can't not say that phrase like really, you know, like woo, gung-ho. With a slight nervous chuckle, I lower myself down beside him, crossing my legs. This feels so awkward. And I have absolutely no clue what's going through Dominic's head right now. Well, I'll just get to the point. I don't think there's any use in making small talk with this guy. That's right, blunt conversation. We're gonna have an honest conversation. So, if I'm not crazy, and everything that happened tonight was actually real, then you're a vampire. Dominic stiffly nods. He's a man of few words. Jack is drawn into the void of silence with his thirst. There are more of them then. Vampires. In San Fran. He nods again, exhaling another small stream of smoke. There's no change in his expression, and he just watches me with a look of mild curiosity. I pause and bite my lower lip at a loss for what to make of all this. It feels like a dream, but there's no sign I'm gonna wake up soon. And after what I saw tonight, I'm forced to believe something supernatural is going on. Oh, I really shouldn't have gotten out of bed this morning. Should have stayed writing erotic ebooks. It was that kind of day. That guy Rex was a vampire too, right? Why does he hate you so much? We all know. We know, or we can guess. Let's fill in the blanks. At that, Dominic averts his eyes for a moment, grimacing slightly. There was obviously no love lost between them, but Dominic seemed a lot less eager to fight than Rex did. He's from a different clan. Dominic answers in a guarded tone, his gaze hesitantly returning to my face. Clan. Oh, right. Luca mentioned something like that. Rex is from a different one than you. Yeah, he's Helgen. I'm with Sarai. There's a small hint of disgust in his voice, and his face darkens a little. He thinks the clans are like family or something, that they're important. Guess he doesn't see what a joke it all is. So you're not into the whole clan thing, huh? I get that. I always hated fraternities and stuff like that back in college. We're relating. This is relatable. He's relating to a vampire. My half-hearted jokes make Dominic crack a little smile, which softens the shadows on his face. When I look at his heavily lidded eyes, I don't see anything that resembles a monster. Oh, for those who don't know, no, actually, no, because people online are crazy. Unfortunately, I've learned that the hard way. If someone had told me he was a vampire this morning, I would have called them crazy. He's quiet and awkward, sure, but he's not scary at all when he smiles like that. I look deep into his eyes, in this sexy underground warehouse basement. It's all going down. Yeah, before I forget. I really appreciate you saving me back there with Rex, because I did not push him. You seemed like some kind of superhero, coming to my rescue just in the nick of time. I shiver as my mind flashes back to the terrifying sight of those fangs, right before they plunged into my neck. It's fine. I was just passing through. He evasively turns his head away from me, taking another pull from his cigarette and avoiding my gaze. Is it my imagination, or does he look kind of embarrassed? He was following. It's official, following. When you stir someone's coffee, you're bonded for life. It's like the Dresden Incubus, but instead of like Incubus powers, it's coffee. No, that can't be right. Talk about a crazy string of coincidences, though. I can't believe you know Isaac and Luca, too. When I mention their names, Dominic pulls a face, grinding his cigarette down against the concrete floor. I don't know them. They know us. He grimly stares into the distance and looks like he doesn't plan to explain further, unless I ask. You mean they know the other vampires in the city? Isaac does. He sells information and guns, playing both clans for money. That kid Luca's his sidekick. You shouldn't mess around with them. Dominic runs a hand through his long, messy hair, letting out a tired sigh. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. They don't sound like great guys, to be honest. The chat disagrees. Oh, you don't know how close we came to going after Isaac, Jack. You don't know. Actually, Betty, there is a Luca. There are two fanfics for this series online. One is for this one, and the other one is for the game that they just kickstarted, which is going to be a sequel that's going to branch out into more of just a standard game with romantic elements rather than just a straight up visual novel, and have more options for how you customize your character and stuff. So I'm really excited for it, and I'm really happy for them. I'm not sure why, but I feel sympathy for Dominic, even though he's not human. If I was caught up in all this craziness, I'd probably just want to escape too. No wonder he looks so gloomy all the time. Why were you out there tonight? His sudden question breaks the silence, and I glance over to see him gazing at me with interest. I was looking for you. That's just maximum thirst. Livy. No, guys, we're gonna redeem Debbie. It's gonna happen. Oh. I was just curious. I was looking for you. What stat does that get us? Maximum thirst? Maximum thirst. Engage. Make it so. Yeah, why not? YOLO. Blunt. If I'm honest, I think it's because I was looking for you. He tilts his head in confusion at my response, and I awkwardly laugh, trying to pull some of the thirst back inside my body. Isaac said something about a customer of mine showing up, and I guess subconsciously I thought that he meant you. I wanted to say thanks for the generous tip after all. For a moment, Dominic just stares at me with apparent surprise. Had he forgotten about the tip he left? Eventually, he turns his head away from me, but I can see a faint smirk briefly flicker over his mouth. It was good coffee. He mutters something so quietly that I can barely make it out. Come again? Instead of replying, though, Dominic rather abruptly pushes himself up to his feet, turning to me with a more serious expression. He hesitates after opening his mouth, lowering his head a little. Isaac puts you in a lot of danger. His slow, husky voice takes on a sharper edge all of a sudden. Humans who know about us are a threat. Rex will tell the other Helgen about you. When that happens, word will spread fast. Someone will come after you. Probably by tomorrow night. Dominic's eyes narrow and he pauses for a long moment. Until they forget you and start hunting someone else. You shouldn't be alone in the dark. Well, I mean, maybe I should stop walking alone in alleys at night anyway, but that's just good life advice. His words send a cold tingle through me, and a knot curls in the pit of my stomach. Troy's out of town for a little while, so I can't just take off work. What? Hire somebody, please. Get some authority to hire somebody else in this diner. You shouldn't be alone there anyway. And there's no way I can afford a taxi every night. And even when he gets back, who's to say they won't still be coming after me? I can't stay inside my house forever. Because they can wait. Maybe I should just skip town. They'll find you before you can leave. Then what am I supposed to do? How can I stand a chance against... I'll help you. At his unexpected offer, I freeze, my mouth hanging open. Is he seriously saying he'll protect me? Aren't I a threat to them? Shouldn't he be working against me? But before I can ask why he'd do something so crazy, Dominic turns his back to me, murmuring a few last words. I'll come by the diner tomorrow. Don't do anything stupid. And with that parting command, he stalks off towards the stairs, his long strides carrying him out of sight in a few moments. I'm left speechless, standing alone with only Dominic's discarded cigarette for company. The hum of dim fluorescent lights around me is all that disrupts the dead silence. I don't know what to think. Dominic, I didn't do anything to deserve his help, but he's gonna give it to me anyway. Don't underestimate the power of a good cup of coffee. Normally I'd refuse, since it's pretty stupid to rely on a creature who sees you as food. But if I compare Dominic to vampires like Rex, who act like wild animals, well, I'd be an idiot to refuse the help. And for some reason, I feel like I can trust him. I don't know why, but there's something comforting about being with Dominic. It's like having a guardian wolf, almost. Guardian wolf. Man, did I just walk out of some trashy fantasy book? Excuse me. Only the finest fantasy novels. This is fine fantasy. High class. Muttering to myself dryly, I slip out of the warehouse, gripped by a growing fear. All the way back to my apartment, I keep an eye out for anything lurking in the shadows. The streets look the same as they always do, but now they're starting to feel like a battleground instead of my home. Tell me more about the clans. Home sweet home. If only I could pretend all of this was a crazy fever dream. If only it was that easy. I end up tossing and turning in bed for what feels like ages, until eventually, the exhaustion from tonight pulls me into a deep sleep. Ugh. The early afternoon sun trickles into my apartment, fighting through storm clouds to arrive on my face. I push myself up with a yawn. I can't say I feel very refreshed. Those events last night, the fight between Dominic and Rex, the vampires, I was hoping it would be a dream, but it sticks too vividly in my mind, like a bad taste that won't leave my mouth. This would make for a great story to write about, except I definitely have an anxiety attack while writing it. Still half asleep, I mumble to myself as I put on the coffee machine. It's true, all of this excitement's definitely inspired me a little, though I'm also too on edge to really channel it right now. If you get turned, you can write all the novels you want for eternity. Dominic. His offer from last night still echoes in my ears. I can't believe he really wants to help me. Maybe it's just a bad prank and he's not going to show up tonight after all. That would make more sense anyway. I have a hard time believing a guy like him would just help me out of the kindness of his heart. But after yesterday, I really don't know what to believe anymore. Jack makes a lot of assumptions about people. He's not very good at it. I managed to get some writing commissions finished up during the rest of the day, although they are sorely in need of some editing. In the last couple of hours before work, I decided to start a new little story, drawing heavily from the crazy stuff that happened last night. I changed a few details here and there, but it reads more like a diary rather than fiction, and I would read it. Dear diary, went to work, found some vampires fighting in an alley, decided which hot one I was gonna chase after. Just an ordinary Tuesday. When I get ready to leave, the sight of the darkening sky outside makes me tense. I'd better hurry to the diner before it gets too late and hope that Dominic keeps his word. Luckily, nothing happens on the way to my shift, and I flick on the diner's lights with a sigh of relief. This is doing a real number on my stress levels, I'll say. Muttering to myself, I switch the sign to open. After a little bit of prep work, and the night finally begins. Yeah, I'll have just the fries. Yeah. Coming right up. Let me go run the kitchen, do the till, bust the tables, do everything. Just the normal drunk customers. Hey dude, can I get an ice cream, frothy thing? You mean a milkshake? We don't serve that here, sir. I know they do. Yeah, dude, milkshake. That's totally what I meant. How'd you know? Average high as a kite, teenagers. Nothing out of the ordinary. Not yet. Occasionally I glimpse a shape moving outside the diner's windows, although it's probably just a random passerby. For some reason, though, I have an uneasy feeling. Oh, for some reason. He doesn't know why. What a mystery. I don't understand why he would feel uneasy at all. It's like I'm being watched, and not in the comforting guardian angel way either. Artemis! At last, my shift comes to an end, but there's no sign of Dominic. I want to head home soon, but I wish I'd brought something to defend myself with. Bring the blender? Bring something. A stool. Anything. Even though it'd probably be useless against creatures of that speed and strength. Darn it. I shouldn't have thrown my old rosary away. Oh my gosh. Now that's a scene I want to see. Just him walking down an alley with a rosary and garlic and just everything. I'm really enjoying your rendition of the milkshake song in the chat. At that moment, the door swings open, and the sight of a new customer interrupts my thoughts. Hello, welcome to the... Dominic! Sure enough, the tall and intimidating figure before me is the same one I spoke to last night. When he sees my shocked reaction, however, Dominic's expression darkens somewhat. Why do you look surprised? I told you I'd come. There's a very slight wounded hint in his voice, as if my lack of trust makes him unhappy. Sorry, I'm a little bit too jaded to believe in knights in shining armor, even though I'm 100% a damsel. Although I guess I could make an exception for knights in baggy jackets. Now I feel guilty for doubting him, even though I think it was pretty justified, all things considered. Are you ready to go? His eyes soften faintly after my apology, but there's still a tense look on his face. He's probably thinking about what'll happen if we get caught by other vampires. Well, he's not the only one who's worried. I'm ready. You want a cup of coffee or something before we leave? It's not exactly blood or anything, but... Geez, that sounds stupid. Should've just kept my mouth shut. I'm fine, thanks. Dominic gazes at me for a moment, the corners of his lips curling ever so slightly upwards. Then he turns towards the door, beckoning for me to follow. After I grab my things, we head outside onto the dark street. It's pretty deserted this time of night, so the only people on the sidewalk are me and Dominic. He moves at a pretty fast clip, his eyes darting around us warily, flicking towards any kind of movement, whether it's a stray moth or a fluttering plastic bag. Do you ever feel like a plastic bag? I can't help but notice how close he is to my side, too. His arm brushes against mine every couple of seconds. A little embarrassed, I shift a couple inches away, but he ends up closing the gap again a few moments later. You're going to fall off the sidewalk. At his amused comment, I realize I've drifted so close to the curb that I'm almost in the street. Well, whose fault is that? This guy. He's got a mean sense of humor. So, do you have any family around San Fran? Why would you ask a vampire that question? Have you sired any spawn? Are you looking for fledglings? Because I am offering. When I try to change the subject, Dominic shoots me a sharp look. Yeesh, did I stumble on a touchy topic? I didn't mean to pry. Sorry. I was just curious about what your life is like, considering you're East Coast. He murmurs flatly, avoiding my gaze for a moment. They're out on the East Coast. They don't know where I am. He sounds guilty, as if he ran away without saying anything. Did he come out here to get away from his family then? Or maybe he was just trying to protect them, like he's trying to protect me now. It must be hard or it can't be helped. Sympathy. We were having a nice sympathetic conversation. It must be hard. It is hard. Life is hard. Please make me a vampire. You must miss them. I bet they're worried sick about you. If they don't already think you're dead. Wow, comforting, Jack. Master, that's not charming. Take my charming point away. After a brief pause, Dominic nods. I can't help but think he looks terribly lonely, shadows grooving deeply into his tired features. I'm sorry, I can't really put myself in your shoes, but I know it must be hard. He offers me a faint smirk, although there is nothing happy about it. Don't see a point to self-pity. It's just how things are, you know? Dominic's eyes drift up to the light, polluted sky as we walk along, and I follow his gaze. There is so much light pollution where I live that there was an episode of Doctor Who where the problem was that there were no stars in the sky, and when they looked up they couldn't see them, but you can't really see stars where I'm from, so I didn't know what was wrong until they were like, there are no stars, and I was like, oh, is there no light pollution here? Because I normally can't see stars. There are no stars, just dark, moody clouds that look like billowing smoke. My brother's getting married soon. Oh! How'd you find out? Saw it in a newspaper. His broad shoulders slump a little, even though his voice remains steady. There's no way for you to go? Dominic shakes his head, tightly closing his eyes. I can't face them like this. He sounds so bitter that it makes my chest hurt a little. I have a feeling that he doesn't get any joy out of being a vampire. Whatever powers it must give, the costs are probably a lot worse. Maybe you could phone him, send an anonymous note. Not the same as being there though, is it? I frown, trying to think of some alternative for him, but I doubt anything replaces an in-person meeting. When I glance over to him, I notice Dominic watching me with a smile. Wasn't he just brooding a second ago? Did I say something stupid again? To my shock, Dominic reaches out with one of his large hands, suddenly ruffling my hair, cementing our relationship as permanent. We know what hair ruffling means in these games. His fingers tousle through the strands, mussing them up playfully. The touch of his hand is softer than I'd expect. I can't even believe it's the same hand that was swinging punches at Rex last night. He pulls back before long, and I hurry to smooth out my messy hair. Where'd that come from? Warn a guy first. Don't worry about it. Dominic shakes his head and his smile fades soon afterwards. He really doesn't stay bright for longer than a few seconds, does he? Like the sun flickering out between clouds. He's saying he's like looking at the sun. Jack is gone. You're different. Huh? Here he goes again, saying stuff out of the blue. How am I supposed to keep up? Yesterday,
Rex jumped you because you had a different scent.
A different scent? What do you mean? Hesitatingly, Dominic averts his eyes to one side, narrowing them with uncertainty. I know it. He is Sookie 2.0. Jack is Sookie confirmed.
It's something special. It makes your blood sweeter to us, but if you were turned, then...
Dominic suddenly freezes. If I was turned, what? What? Am I a super special uber vampire? Please, tell me. I stop beside him, glancing around in confusion. Then what? Dominic, what's going... The next second, he grabs my hand and breaks into a sprint. Completely baffled, I run with him as fast as I can, and we dash into a nearby alley at top speed. Oh yeah, Joey, it was, Sookie was the protagonist of True Blood who was secretly mixed with fairy, and she didn't know that, but it made her blood special, and so every single vampire and magical creature in that show was just like, oh my god. Dominic, what's going on?
Behind us.
Dominic's voice growls out urgently over the sound of our footsteps. When I throw a glance over my shoulder, there are several figures hurtling towards us, one of them on all fours.
Hey, where are you guys going? Come back!
A familiar sing-song voice calls out to us gleefully, echoing in the alleyway. Rex!
Ignore them.
My eyes go wide as I recognize the voice, but Dominic immediately grips my hand harder.
Are you guys on a date? You didn't even invite me. Hey, Dom, don't be selfish.
Rex's mocking words ring out behind us as we keep running, taking every twist and turn we can. It's hard for me to keep up with Dominic, whose long legs and powerful body propel him forward with an incredible speed. Pick him up! Have him pick you up!
You can't get away from me, baby. I could catch that scent from miles away. Come on, Dom. Share him with us. You want to keep him for yourself, don't you? Greedy.
Dominic grits his teeth together, his eyes flashing with visible anger. A cold sweat breaks out on my back as Rex taunts us. Dominic. No, Dominic's different from them. He's not keeping me around for that. There's no way.
Quick, inside.
Suddenly, Dominic shoves me through the side door of a building. I stumble through the darkness, but he pulls my hand to tug me further in. Where are we? Huh? The dimly lit space we emerged into is a club?
Lyndon.
He leans down to hiss into my ear, brushing his lips against it so I can hear his voice over the loud music. Without missing a beat, Dominic guides me onto the dance floor, weaving through the throngs of people. I glance worriedly over my shoulder to see if Rex and the others are following, but I can't make out anything in the dark. But when I turn back, I realize Dominic isn't pulling me along anymore. Instead, he's facing me, and his blue eyes glimmer faintly in the flashing lights. Dominic, aren't we going to... Shh. And just like that, he starts to curl his arms around my waist, tugging me towards him. They're blending. They're blending. My first reaction is to pull away, but I realize what he's doing after a few seconds. He wants to dance here so that the other vampires will lose our scent in the middle of these people. They probably can't attack us in this place even if they do find us. I guess it's a pretty smart plan. Although my cheeks start to flush a little bit from our sudden closeness, I hesitantly slide my arms around Dominic, grasping the fabric of his jacket. He's really tall. And have his eyes always been that blue? They're so clear that I can see myself in them. Almost.
You have to dance, not just stare.
He murmurs to me, his deep voice reverberating in my ears over the heavy bass. Yeah, sorry. Just been a while since I did this, that's all. I awkwardly start to move a little with the music, avoiding Dominic's gaze. Whenever I imagine, like, that kind of dancing, I always imagine, like, awkward, like, shuffle. It makes me happy. I feel like he's enjoying this a lot more than he should be, considering the situation. I'm enjoying this a lot more than I should be. The club is so packed with people that it's practically a zoo, but after a while, I don't notice them as much. My heartbeat should be slowing down now that we've stopped running, yet it's still pounding a mile a minute. Dominic doesn't bother glancing around for the other vampires at all. Instead, he's just watching me. His eyes seem to glow a little in the dark, gazing at my face with an unusually intense look. You're gonna make me self-conscious watching me like that. I hope you're staring because my hair's on point, not because I look like dinner. My mutter is swallowed up by the music, but there's a chance Dominic heard me because his lips curl into a sly grin. He has vampiric senses. The tips of his fangs glimmer faintly when they catch the light, simultaneously deadly and beautiful. Normally I hate clubs, but I'd be lying if I said this wasn't sort of fun. There's a chance Rex and the others are inside, watching us, but it's hard for me to think about that when Dominic squeezes my hips, pressing against me to the beat of the music. But really, how the hell did this turn out to be some kind of weird date? It really doesn't feel like we're just acting to throw off the vampires anymore. That, or Dominic deserves an Oscar. I didn't intend for things to end up like this. Uh-huh. Sure did. Actually, I believe Jack. Want a drink? Dominic casually leans in to murmur a question in my ear. No, I'm fine, thanks. Man, now it seriously feels like a date. An awkward, spontaneous date. Although, judging from Dominic's smirk at my flustered response, his only goal with that question was to make me embarrassed. He's got a sadistic streak to balance out his generosity, alright. How about you? You want a drink? Jack! We were rooting for you. Wow, Jack. Why don't you just throw your neck back? Now that you mention it. My eyes widen when Dominic actually nods, a teasing light flashing in his eyes. Wait, he must mean... No, seriously? Only if you're offering, though. I wouldn't force you. He gently squeezes my waist, making me relax a little, but I still hesitate. Can I really trust him like this? I already know if they give me the option, my answer's gonna be yes. Yup, I'm just, you know what? Do it. Well, you offered. Them's the breaks. Well, I'm a little curious about it. I'll admit. Just don't drain me dry, okay? That would be a terrible first date. For a split second, Dominic looked shocked, like he wasn't even expecting an answer. But before I know it, he reaches out to grab me, tugging my body tightly against his chest. Just relax. His hot whisper fills my ear, and as if he'd just flipped a switch, my anxiety starts to fade. It gets hard to think about anything other than Dominic, and even when I close my eyes and tilt my head back, all I can envision is his eager gaze. Something sharp starts to tease along my skin, dragging a line from my collar to the side of my neck. I feel his wet tongue flickering out against a certain spot, followed by the brush of his lips. Then he pauses, and everything in the world seems to freeze for a moment. A stabbing pain shoots through my body, making my eyes water and my stomach do an awful backflip. My first instinct is to try and shove Dominic away, but I force myself to stay calm. And then, bit by bit, the pain begins to sweeten. Dominic! As he holds me tightly in his arms, burying his face against my neck, I start to feel a little dizzy. My skin's growing hotter and hotter, and an unusual heat bubbles at the base of my spine. Sweet. Somehow I managed to hear Dominic's low growl, but it feels like his voice is almost coming from inside my mind. Because it is. The pounding bass fades far into the distance as all I can hear and feel is Dominic, his fangs buried in me as he suckles hungrily against my flesh. This is a complete surrender. Yup. If he wanted to, he could drain me dry right now, and no one would notice. It's too dark and crowded. We're just living in that scene from Fright Night. But I don't feel scared. My heart's pounding a mile a minute, but all I can think of is giving myself to him. More, more, more. When Dominic finally pulls back, licking a red drop off his upper lip, I struggle to catch my breath. He must have noticed my reaction because he gives me a long feral smirk and brushes his fingertips against my throat. It was hard keeping a hold of myself. Especially with you screaming against me like that. Can't have that bad for you, huh? Acute embarrassment makes my lightheadedness vanish, and I know my face has to be the same color as a cherry. Sorry if I was jerking around or anything. I hope you got enough. Wow, Jack. I'm not sure that's even possible. At the last traces of that incredible sensation fades away, I can't help but feel happy at Dominic's reaction. So flustered and I were reading all the words. He pulls me into another dance. I notice his eyes are burning brighter, his usual cool expression now warm and eager. Even his skin feels a little hot, like part of him's alive again. And there's something strangely bittersweet about that thought. We dance for what feels like hours afterwards, though at the same time it passes in the blink of an eye. When I start to get a little tired, I lean against Dominic's chest, and a pleased smile briefly curls on his lips. Finally, just as it's getting close to dawn, we reluctantly separate and make our way to the exit. They're just standing out there waiting. It's still dark when we emerge on the street, although probably not for much longer. With the music now muffled by concrete walls, an awkward silence drifts between us. Also, they should not be able to hear each other. It's just be like, what? Huh? Let's go. Right. I entirely forgot that he was supposed to be taking me home. That was the whole point of meeting up, wasn't it? So how did this happen? How indeed? I bite my lip as we head down the sidewalk again, but Dominic seems completely at ease. Isaac was right also. Jack has no sense of self-preservation, at least not the way I'm playing him. This guy, I guess he's not even worried that the other vampires will come after us. Am I the weird one for being so flustered about everything? We end up making it to my apartment building without any incident. When we reach the door, Dominic stops, so I come to a halt in front of him. Thanks. It's fine. With that casual response, he starts to turn away. Hey, wait! When I hastily call out to him, Dominic pauses to look back at me. Were you planning on coming back to the diner tomorrow night? You don't have to or anything, but... He tilts his head to one side, quirking an eyebrow slightly. I said I'd help you, didn't I? He sounds puzzled, as if that was only something natural. It probably sounds like I'm questioning his kindness, but after tonight's chase, I wouldn't blame him for wanting to keep his distance. I just wasn't sure how long you would... Never mind. My response trails off into an awkward mutter, and I avert my gaze, grimacing. As long as you need me. Dominic's words sound unusually gentle, so much that I look up at him in surprise. But he's already turning around again, starting to walk away with his hands shoved in his pockets. This time I just watch his tall figure gradually head into the distance, until finally he disappears around the corner. His parting words feel like a dream. I almost have to wonder if I didn't mishear them. As long as you need me. Seriously, what a weird guy. You just let a vampire feed on you in public in the middle of a nightclub? You're not in any position to judge. I mutter to myself in disbelief while climbing the stairs, unable to contain a smile. Unlike last night, a warm feeling bubbles in my chest when I reach my apartment. I don't understand Dominic at all, but deep down, I can see that he has a good heart. It's the last thing I'd expect from someone who's supposed to be a blood-sucking monster. I guess you really can't judge a book by its cover, huh? This time, when I throw myself onto my bed, it doesn't take long for drowsiness to overtake me. He should also drink some orange juice, get a cookie. As I slip into unconsciousness, the last image I see is Dominic's bright blue eyes glittering warmly in the dark, swallowing me in their endless depths. And so began my new bizarre routine. Every night, Dominic would show up at the diner, right as I'd be getting ready to close. After our encounter with Rex, he was a lot more cautious. We'd take hidden alleyways and pass through abandoned buildings, a new mini-adventure each time. There were a couple of close calls, but we managed to avoid getting spotted by roaming vampires. Just barely. Neither of us ever speak about what happened in the club. It's not like our relationship is awkward, but every time I think about the way we danced, my face starts to feel hot. I know it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing, probably meaningless, but no matter how hard I try, I can't forget the look in his eyes back then. Wow, time to leave already. I must have really been spacing out. Today marks a week's time since Dominic, or Dom, as I've started calling him, first offered to escort me. He's ready for the chat. But this time I've decided to man up and ask him if he wants to come up to my apartment tonight. Just for a drink and a chat or something. He's not very talkative, but I think he might enjoy the company, and I'd like to get to know him better. It's so easy to forget Dom's a vampire, but the sense of loneliness he carries reminds me of the cold, solitary life he's forced to live in the night. He stays away from his clan, and I can tell he misses his family more than anything. From what he's told me, I'm the only friend he has here. Oh my god, Lucy, I would love that if they were all cross-universe. I want to help ease that loneliness for him, even if it's just a tiny bit. Ashley, they will never change outfits, ever. The streets are still slightly lively as I commute to work, compared to their usual abandoned state on my way home. Normally I'd keep my head down and be lost in thought during the walk to the diner, but I feel unusually bright today. Must be the adrenaline from my plan to invite Dom inside. But I don't know why it's making me so nervous. Also, that phrasing. I'm taking the beautiful alley. When I take a turn down a side street, I see the shape of a familiar building not far off. Isn't that the abandoned warehouse where Dom went to smoke the other day? I wonder if he's there right now, or if that's where he stays before he comes to the diner. I hesitate, but my curiosity winds up being too strong, and I duck inside the warehouse on a whim. Downstairs, the dark, dirty interior greets me with the familiar hum of fluorescent lights. But it doesn't seem like Dom's here. There are a few fresh cigarette butts lying nearby, which means I might have just missed him. Oh well. Why am I so disappointed? We all know why. I'll get to see him tonight, anyway, so it's not like it really matters that much. Looking for Dominic by chance. Oh no, who is it? We knew it was gonna happen. We knew it. Out of nowhere, a powerful voice resonates behind my ears. Oh. I hastily spin around, coming face to face with a towering man who looks exactly like Bruce Wayne, and I'm into it. He's in a finely made suit, and he doesn't look like a thug. What he's doing in a place like this? What's a Bruce Wayne man like you doing in a place like this? I didn't even see him when I came in. Was he hiding? Yeah. Do you know him? I do indeed. He's quite an interesting young man, although a little misguided. He slowly rubs a hand along one cheek, watching me with eyes that are a vivid, piercing shade of red. Well, you did it to yourself, and that's why it really hurts. Wait, does that mean... Could this guy be... Oh, where are my manners? I entirely forgot to introduce myself. My name is Bishop. I'm, to put it crassly, the leader of San Francisco's 2 clans. He bows his head to me a little, his tone polite and reserved. If he's the leader of both clans, that means he's the top vampire in the city. The very thought makes me want to dash out of the room as fast as I can, but curiosity and fear keep me pinned in place. Nice to meet you. I'm Jack. I guess you must have heard about me from Rex. Bishop slowly nods, narrowing his crimson eyes for a moment. Oh yes, he's talked about you quite a bit, including all of your special qualities. Special qualities? Naturally. However, I didn't come here intending to discuss such things now. That can wait for another time. The real reason I wanted to speak to you, or Dominic, was a certain rumor that's been circulating about you two. All of the rumors are true? Whatever you've heard, it's entirely true. Pausing for an extended moment, Bishop lets his gaze drift up and down my body, and I hold back the urge to shiver. He gives off a strong, oppressive aura, one that feels like black tendrils wrapping around me and squeezing out my breath. You see, I don't allow my subordinates to engage in equal relationships with humans. It puts us all at great risk of being exposed. Just from one tiny slip-up, a misplaced word, here or there, and our veil of secrecy might be torn open. He gives me a wide, shark-like smile. Are you trying to say I shouldn't talk to him anymore? But Daddy, I love him. When my voice uncontrollably cracks with disappointment, Bishop laughs, although it doesn't make his expression look any kinder. Please, don't paint me out as such a villain. I have a different proposal in mind, if you wish to hear me out. Bishop steps a little closer, and even though I want to move back, his crimson stare freezes me to the spot. You see, we're always looking for new promising additions to San Francisco's coven. The vampires in Los Angeles, San Jose, even Fresno, the numbers are steadily growing, and soon they might even pose a threat to us. He reaches out with a claw-like fingernail to point directly at my throat. I clench my teeth, doing my best not to show any kind of signs of fear, and stare back into Bishop's unblinking eyes. From your scent, I can tell that you're Strix, a human with strong, receptive blood. My scent? Now that I think about it, both Rex and Dom said something like that. If you joined us, I would have no objections to your relationship with Dominic. In fact, I'd even encourage it. After all, he's a very lonely boy. Someone like you could keep him from acting out or causing us any further trouble. Bishop towers over me as he speaks, casting a long shadow that feels like it's swallowing me up. It's all too clear that he's giving me an ultimatum. Join us or forget about us. Otherwise, I'll be killed. What are your thoughts, my dear? I don't like being kept in suspense. Ah! We don't have the stats we need for the third option, whatever it is. We're probably not charming enough. Choices matter. Only if Dominic does it, since we can't get out of this. Only if Dominic. To be honest, the idea of never seeing the sun again is a horrible one. Everything about my life would change and I'd be forced into a world of secrets and darkness. But if Dom was there for me, then I think I could endure it. I'd consider your offer as long as Dominic was the one who turned me. I really don't know how a mortal is made into a vampire, but if it's anything like the stories, they'd get bitten by another vampire. And if there's a permanent bond between the two afterwards, I'd only let something like that happen with Dom. Oh, you're a picky one, I see. Bishop seems greatly amused by my response, and he lets out a chuckle, letting me glimpse his knife-like fangs. Do I have to decide right now? When I worriedly look up at Bishop, he smooths a hand through his jet black hair and offers me a shrug. I'll give you a day to think about it. Should you choose to reject my offer, however, I'm afraid I'll have to prohibit you from meeting Dominic. Through whatever means necessary. He's really not subtle about his threats, this guy. But there's not much I can do to argue, so I offer a hesitant nod in reply. If you really wanted me to join you, though, why didn't you bite me forcefully? I doubt I'd be a match for a vampire. My question causes Bishop's eyes to glint with a dangerous, amused light. Turning an unwilling subject often leads to troublesome side effects, my dear. Death is often one such effect, among others. I'd rather not see someone so promising wasted. You understand, I'm sure. I see. I grimace, unsure how I feel about being called a promising candidate for a vampire. It's a little comforting to know that they wouldn't turn me against my will, but an uneasy feeling still gnawing at my stomach. Excellent. I'm quite pleased that we settled the matter so efficiently. I'll see you tomorrow then. Make sure you consider things carefully, as I'm sure neither of us want a disagreeable outcome. Bishop offers me a sweeping bow, then turns around with a flutter of his long black coat. He walks towards the stairs, but to my shock, the second he steps into the shadows, his form simply disappears. It must be some kind of power he has. The very thought sends unpleasant shivers down my spine. What a shaky... I know, I censor myself on odd things, but... I unthinkingly mutter to myself, then freeze, praying he's not still lurking nearby. But there's no reply or angry vampiric hiss, so I guess Bishop's gone. His presence was so incredibly icy that the whole warehouse felt a few degrees colder. Ugh. His life is hard. Write that book. What kind of awful situation have I gotten myself into? As much as I would love to be able to stay and do this all in one session, I unfortunately cannot. So we're going to have to leave that here for now. I'll use one of my precious save slots. But I'll be back to continue on tomorrow. So hopefully you can all join me again tomorrow nighttime, and we can finish this off and keep going. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all, hopefully, if you can make it, tomorrow. And if not, I'll of course have it up. All right. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.